Choose not to live in a world of filters. Realize your mistakes. Set the foundation for your success. Get some wins. Knucklehead Podcast.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Knucklehead Podcast. Today, who we have with us today is none other than Drop Gunner. You can follow Mr. Drop Gunner here on Instagram. Are you on Facebook or are you just on Instagram?
We just moved to Facebook as well. We're very small, so you can find us and search us and then just add us, and it's slowly growing. We're kind of trying to move both pages. It's kind of hard running. It's only me and another guy, my marketing guy, that helps me run a little bit of everything. So
there you go. Okay. All right. So people hear it now. They have a presence on Facebook. They have a presence on Instagram, and they are. I don't want to speak for him and get into the mission here. I'm going to let him jump into that. But informally, I've been a fan of this cause, of the attention that they bring, for a couple of reasons. One, because they're a Marine. They're thinking about how to grow their audience and talk to that community, which is a hard thing to do whenever you have a platoon full of Marines. Heck, even if you're talking to one Marine one-on-one, that's a difficult conversation to have. If anybody who's been out there who's done that, you know what I'm talking about. And then in addition to that, you actually have these guys that are out there reaching an audience, creating an influence, and then backing that up with helpful steps to become better every single day. And they're going to get into the cause about why that's important. But tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, why'd you join the Marine Corps, and what was it about our beloved Corps that attracted you?
My dad was in the Army. I grew up and I was a shithead in high school. I thought I knew everything, thought I could take on the world, and I didn't really know anything at all. Actually, come to find out, I knew that my grades weren't really well, and I wasn't, I didn't give my all in high school. I knew I had a lot of potential. A lot of people, they let me, they were helping me, people were giving me that extra push. I didn't really experience any failure. So, one day I was just like, you know what, like, I'm not going to make it to college. So I just need to do something. And I was going to go join the Army. So I left school, and on the way to the school, so I left class early. I skipped school, and I was walking with my buddy, and he was like, yeah, I'll take you to the recruiter right now. I'll take you to the Army recruiter. And I was like, but you have to do one thing for me. And I was like, all right. He's like, just talk to the Marine Corps recruiter first. So we went, and I just signed right there that day. He just convinced me. I knew I wanted to join the military. My dad was in, my brother went. So I just signed up. They're like, what do you want to be? I was like, I want to be like my dad. My dad's a mechanic. I want to be a mechanic. And they're like, great, do it. And then they signed the papers, and we went on. But that's where I started learning a lot more about myself, is in the Marine Corps. You will fail. The Marine Corps is like, if you want to be successful and you want to pretty much be successful, I'm so like struggling and overwhelmed. But yeah, if you want to be successful, you have to put in that effort. You have to want it, and they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to walk you through it. So that's where you start learning about yourself, and failure is like, how bad do you want it? Do you want to get promoted? Do you want to hold this billet? Do you want to be the squad leader? Do you want to be a guide? What do you want to be? And as you get promoted and you hold that rank, then your junior Marines are looking up to you. You have to be able to lead these Marines. So what are you going to do about it to maintain that? How are you going to lead them and want them to respect you? Because nowadays anybody can get promoted, but you don't want to be like everybody else. You want to be that person that stands out, that, you're going to create success for them. You're going to show them how to be successful. So,
yeah, that's interesting. You just touched on something that I think is really important when it comes to success. Like there's a story in a book. I think it's Think and Grow Rich. I can't remember if it's Think and Grow Rich or if it's Master Key to Riches, where he talks about Andrew Carnegie asking him being Napoleon Hill, the guy who wrote the book, if he would take this project, but the project was completely unpaid. And he answered immediately. And definitiveness of purpose, or being able to take information and make a quick decision, and then very quickly make that decision the right decision. That's a success principle that is very, it's not taught all the time, right? And it's something that you did, and your buddy actually forced you to do when he said, hey man, go talk to the Marine Corps recruiter first. He closed you hard. And then it sounds like the Marine Corps recruiter just painted a vision for you that allowed you to actually go out and exercise some of those success principles that your dad taught you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good stuff, man. That's and so you joined. What was your MOS then when you joined, or maybe you said it and I just misheard it?
Same thing. I picked mechanic, and that's what I got. I'm a 3521 motor transport mechanic.
All right. Well, that makes sense on why you're taking pictures in the middle of a whole bunch of 7 tons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always around it. So I'm in a grunt battalion right now, so I'm a lot more active and a lot more engaged into the mechanics now. Like before, it's a little bit. You don't really have a lot of vehicles, but over hundreds of Humvees in this battalion. Constantly moving, constantly supporting the grunts and the missions that go down. So.
No, for sure. No, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, then, so given you what your background is with, coming from a military family, spent some time in, you've earned the rank of sergeant now. As a, would you say 35-21 or 35-31?
21.
21. All right. So I was an '04, right? I was a logistician myself. So I was attached to some element of Motor T just because as a support unit, that's just what we did at the combat logistics regiments and battalions that probably you and I run around with. And I got out. I got out of the Marine Corps. I'm thankful for my time in. Thankful for having met a lot of the guys that I was in. Met some incredible folks. But with that, those close knit relationships comes with it some failure, some euphoria, some victories, some struggles. But it sounds like you started this branding as a result of something that you went through, and I want to hear a little bit about that story. I know you just touched on it right at the beginning, but tell us a little bit about how you got this started.
So, my buddy, we were both stationed together in the previous unit, and he was motor T mechanic. He was a corporal. He was a younger Marine. We met through my wife. Um, it was somebody that in the fitness world I looked up to him, and then at the Marine Corps world he looked up to me as well. So we kind of bonded. We created that bond where we could both help each other. He became a really influential person in my
Did you
life.
say that what was his rank? You said what? Say it again.
At the time, he was a corporal, so he was a rank below me.
Got it.
He was one of my Marines, one of my junior Marines, somebody that I had to take care of and ensure that they were in that right direction. And I promoted him to sergeant. We got him up in the ranks. He joined the group with him and another close friend of ours, Eckert. He's the dude that does the fitness and the pull-ups all over and camis and stuff like that, all the muscle ups and the crazy stuff. I don't know if you know who that is, but we're all close friends. We've done a lot of stuff together, and then he pushed on. He pushed on to deployment. He had created the name Drop Gunner for me. It was something we did on Xbox. The guys would after work we'd all get together. We'd shoot the shit over the mic and vent about the day. And I moved that to Instagram. I didn't really know how Instagram worked too well or what it was all about. So
Right.
I moved it over and kind of just started rolling with it. I made a few friends through social media, and then from there, then we talked to him whenever he could when he was deployed. He'd shoot some calls. My wife was pregnant, so he'd just keep her updated and make sure that she was okay while I was in and out of the field. While he'd still try to call whenever we were missing each other.
Right.
And he was also on ship with another friend of ours' wives, and she got the call, or she called her husband, and then he called us, and it was just one of those mornings where you didn't want to wake up and you ignored the phone calls. But he called a few more times. Now we're like, okay, maybe something happened because of where they were located. And then we made a call, and he was alive. They let us know that he did it. He took his life. The reaction, your speeches, you don't really know what to say. You don't know how to comfort anybody else behind you. And it comes into the point as you're a leader of a Marine, and you couldn't do anything about that. You feel like there's something you could have done, something you could have done more. Reached out, lent a hand, lent the ear, whatever the case was. And that's where a little bit of failure kind of plays into that as well. It's like it's just no bueno. You want to do whatever you can to save somebody or to help somebody. Let them be heard. So from that point, watching what it did to the people around me and bringing everybody together, I couldn't even make it to the funeral because of work, but just seeing how everybody hurt. But at the same time, I saw people come together. I saw, people making sure that other people are okay. Hey, how are you reacting? Are you eating? Are you paying attention? It's okay. He doesn't want this. He'd want this for us. So I took what people were doing around me, put it on social media, because why not? If I'm going to have this platform, I'm going to be able to use this platform. Why not use it for something other than myself?
Right.
So that's what it is bringing people in. We're creating a family. So whenever they see the logo, they know that they're not alone. They have somebody that they can reach out to. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. These people will respond to you. They will answer to you.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, is just making sure that you have somebody to go to, that you have a friend. Everybody matters to somebody. So if you feel like you don't, then so be it. I'm here for you. I'm going to be here for you. I'll be your voice, and I'll help you out.
Yeah, that's an honorable way to look at something that's terrible. I mean, it's a very just a I mean, there's not an easy topic to talk about. I mean, it runs rampant through society nowadays. And for those of you who are having a difficult time hearing, he's talking about why he started Drop Gunner. Or what it was a gift to him through this corporal, and the story of him taking his own life is one it's told too often. It happens too often. You never really truly understand why somebody does what they do, or what you know. It's it's one of those things that you don't really have an explanation for. All you can do is, looking back on it, hope that whatever information you can make available to people, that they cling on to something that you're saying and they reach out to you. I know myself. I've struggled with depression, anxiety issues, challenges. I've got two kids, a wife, and the position that they would be in without me is not a good one. And it's too often that people take that path of least resistance and they think they're doing an honorable thing, when in fact what they're doing is they're robbing other people the experience of being with those people, right? And people have different opinions about it. So it's a hard, dicey topic to talk about, which is why most people don't talk about it.
Absolutely. We hold ourselves to that lower standard. We're always letting ourselves just take the easy route, no matter what it is. It's unacceptable, and we should be holding ourselves to the best standard possible. We should be making ourselves want to be successful. I feel like I'm very lucky because I have a wife and a daughter, and I won't let myself fail, because if I fail, they fail, and I can't have that. I want my daughter to, not idolize me, but I want her to be proud of who I am. So that prevents me from failing. I'm very lucky for them. I couldn't do it without them. Like, God bless. Like, they're like a lot of my motivation, my discipline behind what I do.
For sure. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So to to shed light on a topic like suicide, let's take it back 2 or 3 steps. So in the Marine Corps, it's very easy for us to find out what we would consider to be kind of a perceived weakness in one of our other Marines, one of our fellow Marines, male or female. We don't care. We just, as soon as we smell weakness, it's like blood in the water. It's sharks in the water. We don't realize that some people struggle. Some people struggle with that. Some people struggle with that camaraderie that takes place. Some people just take it too far. So if we take a couple steps back, I know in your time, have you found that talking to some of either your junior Marines or even some of your higher ups, that they encourage outlets like that, or how do they deal with that in the Marine Corps currently?
I mean, being still in, I don't want to say anything negative. So I love the Marine Corps. It's done a lot for me. But growing up in the Marine Corps, it's very hard to tell. If you, as a junior Marine, you came up in that period where it's just yes sir, no sir, and you do it a lot. But the Marine Corps is changing a lot now. So as junior Marines, you have a lot more to say. You have a lot more freedom to voice yourself, which is very good. Before in the Marine Corps, you kind of really didn't. You just did what you were told. If you had an issue, you had something that was bothering you, it kind of got more or less pushed aside, because now you might respect them, but you fear them more than you might trust them to let them know how you feel personally. So as going up in the Marine Corps now, becoming more senior, I try not to let that happen. Try to, hey, try to be more personal. You draw that line a little bit more clearly, that, if you have a personal issue that you don't want to say, I will help you solve that issue, whether it's your family, debt, financial stuff like that. I want to get you taken care of, because I don't want you to, if they're not 100% personal, then they're not going to be 100% for me for work. So I'm not going to get that efficiency that we need to be successful.
Yeah. So, I think to a certain extent, you touched on 2 things. One, I want to bring up. One is, it says it in the NCO creed. You're essentially, whenever you take that rank of corporal, specifically in the Marine Corps, and this is probably true military wide. I haven't talked to enough soldiers or airmen or seamen or coasties or any of that to ask this question. But specifically in the NCO creed, you're taught to lead those who are in your charge, but then also influence those leaders that are in charge of you. And when I say the military, I'm talking specifically the Marine Corps, just my experience. There's a second thing that takes place, and it's almost as if there's this anti-establishment, um, and yeah, right, Brendan. This anti-establishment mentality that takes place, like we're not trusting of our officers, so to speak, and sometimes we're not even trusting of the Marines that are in charge of us on the enlisted side. And it's not a healthy environment when there's actually not trust built up. So you're kind of caught in this conundrum of, is it too personal, is it professional? How do you bridge that gap to prevent people from making the mistake of ending their life? And the Marine Corps does a good job with suicide prevention. Everything. I mean, you got annual training that you're going through, but it's really between the lines where they need the most help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of outlets. There's so many. You got the EOs. You have a lot of people that stand in, like, even the sappers. You got the sexual assault people. You have so many people depending on your story that you can reach out to, other than just your command. You have your friends and stuff like that. But it's not just the people that are into. It's the people that get out as well. It's all the veterans. It's not. I don't just focus. Just so it's clear that people understand. It's not just the active duty as well. It's the veterans, it's the law enforcement, it's people that are willing to put their line without asking, for something in return. But yeah, as a Marine, you're taught to be that vital link. As when you pick up that NCO level, you're that vital link between your command and your troops, and that's what helps the most, especially when you understand what your job is or your role as an NCO. I think a lot of lives do get saved due to the Marine Corps and the way they teach your leaders. And like you said, your quote, your hashtag is to be the alpha, don't be a beta, but some people get confused on what an alpha is. You're an alpha, you are the leader of a pack. You're not an asshole, and people get that, they get that power hungry and they think they can, roar. But what are you? You're an omega. If you're not leading a pack, you're not really an alpha anymore.
Yep. You just touched on it. Yeah, I got somebody writing on a Facebook Live right now that's echoing exactly what you just talked about. You just talked about the difference between management and leadership. You just touched on it. There's a huge difference. And you know that you're a terrible leader when you're a quasi-good manager, right? And I've been in a situation where I've led groups of Marines as a manager, not understanding that you're robbing those Marines of the enriching leadership that's needed, that you were given whenever you were a junior Marine. So I've selfishly gone through that same process myself. You learn by screwing it up, and that's what Knucklehead Podcast is. I mean, we're like, hey, listen, if you screw up the conversation with one of your Marines, and they end up going out and screwing up on liberty. Like I had a Marine one time who was a peer of mine that almost ended somebody's life just because he went and got around some old associations, some bad friends. And the guy ended up in the brig for his last 18 months on island just because it took time to go through the court-martial process. But you wonder, like, dude, what could you have said? I remember talking to him 5 minutes before he signed out in the Liberty logbook. You're like, hey, buddy, don't let tonight be the night. And you're almost afraid to be that voice of reason when you know something is about ready to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It sucks. It does, especially when you get into that poor management. You don't realize what you're doing if you're not being led right. Nobody's perfect, but you have to fail. I think at some point you have to fail, like whether you might not think you are, or you think you might be being just 100% right. I mean, it's almost impossible. You're gonna fail at some point. I wasn't just born and given the rank corporal and I was a perfect corporal. I'd be able to lead my Marines. I had to be that loser. I had to be that douchebag to figure out where I belong. Like, okay, I'm not. My Marines aren't reacting to me. What do I do? And then you start talking. You start communicating with them. And communication's key, whether it's up and down or left and right. You have to communicate. You have to be able to say something. A lot of Marines, and they internalize. They have to get it out there. But what I can say is, overall, is struggle breeds success. That's one of the biggest things that I preach: is struggle breeds success. You're not going to be able to teach somebody or go through experience or be able to teach something unless you have that experience. You can't just teach somebody because you read a book or you studied really hard. You know, once you start learning and you get that experience, they're going to believe you because it's going to come from the heart. It's not going to come from some bullshit that you made up trying to convince them. You know, they want to hear the real deal. They want to know that you struggled, that you suffered. And when they feel that pain and that stuff coming from your heart and your mouth, then they're going to believe you, you know. And being like a martial arts instructor, you know, I teach my Marines all the time. So when I have experience and life stories to tell them, that's where I can break it through that wall. That's how I get them to communicate and come back to me, because they see that I'm trusting them, telling them a story that they're going to, you know, they feel that line of communication, that vital link that needs to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the civilian world, we're you know, we don't touch each other. There's no physical interaction that takes place.
Yes.
You bridge that gap really easily in a McMAP class. So McMAP, for those of you who don't know, is the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. They, you know, talk what you want about their credentials. The fact is some of the hardest training that you'll go through, you know, while you're in the Marine Corps is earning different belts and then stripes to be an instructor on your belt. And I don't even think we talked about that. Are you what kind of belt are you?
First degree. I'm a tan tab instructor.
You're a tan tab instructor. Okay. So does that mean you're a green belt instructor?
I'm a black belt. I'm a first degree black belt instructor.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you bringing awareness to a topic that, you know, people talk about it, right? Generally about, you know, with Anthony Bourdain recently, you know, committing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I understand exactly what you're saying. You know, as soon as Anthony Bourdain and his situation came up, you know, people talk about it, and look at that. It's already off the news. Everybody celebrated. Everybody wants to be their friend for that moment in time. Yeah. And then it dies away. And that's where we come in. We want people to see my star, my logo, that DG. They know that, hey, like, I have somebody, you know, people, I want to create a family, and it doesn't have to be blood. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be somehow related to them through marriage or whatever the case is. You know, I don't want my platform. I don't want people to think that I'm in it for the profits or, you know, becoming famous. I don't really care about that. I just want to save a life. I want to save lives. I've lost, you know, just the most recent one was a closer best friend of mine. You know, I've lost other people to suicide in the Marine Corps. I've watched people leave their child, you know, newborn child come into this because of suicide, and it's just not okay because they're damaging people, you know. And it doesn't mean they're a bad person either just because you commit suicide or you struggle. You know, all these combat veterans that come back that are struggling as well, you know, I want them to know that they have a voice and that they matter, that they did something great for this country, you know. And the same thing for all the law enforcement, the squad, everybody that goes out there every day putting on that flak, that vest, that armor to let us be able to do whatever we want, you know. Like, I want to give them back something in return. I know we have a VA, and I know there's a lot of struggles and there's a lot of fall throughs because nothing is perfect, and, you know, being imperfect, that's what makes us perfect. So, and I want everybody to symbolize that. I want everybody to feel comfortable in who they are. God made you for a reason, and he made you, and that's all you have to do is just be yourself, and people are going to love you. Stop trying to be somebody else, you know. That's like the biggest thing, you know. Live your own story and just be an alpha, you know. Be a leader. Want people to follow you. You don't have to want people to follow you, because people will follow you because you're doing something right. You know, it's like the Marine Corps teaches, you know, do what's right when nobody's looking. You know, there's a lot of stuff that the Marine Corps teaches you that has allowed me to be successful. You know, I just apply it to my everyday life.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So be the alpha, which is really the hard thing to do, which it really truly just means leading yourself. You lead yourself, and in time, you actually earn the opportunity to lead other people. And you can't be beta about the process, because if you're not willing to lead yourself, you're not willing to do the right thing behind closed doors. What ends up with the right thing behind closed doors, for those of you who don't know, what that means is, you know, you control where your eyes are, you control what you put into your mind, and as a male, what you do is you rob yourself of the pleasure temporarily, so you can feel the pain of discipline, whether it's deciding not to go after, I think Jocko Willenick's talked about, you know, instead of going for the chocolate chip cookies, you go for the beef jerky or whatever, right? Yeah. That's just a small example of what doing the right thing is. Asking the hard question when it's not an easy thing to do to your buddy it's one of the hardest things on the planet to do. And facilitating a genuine conversation with somebody that you know needs help, or maybe you don't have any idea, you're just being a good friend, you're just being a good person. That's what doing the right thing behind closed doors is, just being willing to take that extra step when it's not easy to do it.
Absolutely. You know, all you have to do.
Say it again, bud.
Just lend an ear, you know. all you have to do is just lend an ear. You know, you have to lend an ear, lend a hand. You know, once they tell you, then you're, you know, they don't have to voice it. You can voice it. You know, they broke through something by telling you. Now you need to do something for them by speaking up for them. You know, speak up for them. You know, that's a lot of the thing. Voice it, create something. You know, I just want people to just know that it's like, I know I repeat it a lot, but I just know the feeling and I know the pain. So I want people to know that they're never alone.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. We had a SEAL on, and he wrapped up the podcast before he got on. He's like, listen, if you're struggling, I'll give you my cell phone number and call me. Like he was, you know, and a lot of times in the Marine Corps, all of us that are not infantry, there's a term of endearment called a pogue, a person other than grunt. And we all aspire to, you know, to live our lives with honor out there on the battlefield, because that's how we're taught, right? But sometimes what that means is doing whatever you were trained to do really, really well, better than anybody else. So you have the opportunity to earn leadership. And he talked about how there was somebody who wasn't I'm not sure exactly what his job was, but he was a pogue, right? He was like us. And this SEAL who fought in the Battle of Ramadi, was on Task Force Bruiser, said, hey, listen, man, it doesn't matter what you did. You are valuable. And it doesn't matter what your job was. You as an identity, you need to be able to be complete and whole. And we need to talk through whatever it is you're talking about. So you are never alone. In today's world, if you feel like you're about ready to be out there, get in touch with Drop Gunner, get in touch with Knucklehead Podcasts, get in touch with Steven, get in touch with, you know, Andrew O'Brien's over here, you know, watching live on our Facebook. Andrew O'Brien's got an incredible story about suicide and prevention. So it's a serious deal, but reach out to somebody. Don't live under a rock. And if you know somebody who is, reach out to them and connect with them for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, reach out to my page, post something, commenting. I check my DMs almost, you know, twice a day just to respond to anybody. I'm looking through messages, make sure that nobody's hurting, so I can get to them, pass them around to other people. You know, I'm a one-man team, so I'm trying to bring other people in. I have a marketing guy, and I have a few athletes now that I'm bringing in, male and female, so that, you know, there's no that if you don't feel comfortable talking to a dude, you know, you have somebody else that you can reach out to. You know, it doesn't matter. I just want your voice will be heard. You reach out to us, we're going to get you heard. And if we can't help you, our goal, we're going to get you to somebody that can help you. We're going to get you into contact. So if you don't feel afraid, if you feel afraid or you don't feel comfortable talking to one of us, just say so. Just mention that you have a problem. We'll get you to the right person. Don't think of it as a problem. You know, everybody has pain. Everybody has suffering. You know, everybody's going to go through something. A lot of stories are similar. One of the biggest things that I preach overall is regression towards the mean. So what that means is things can't always be good and things can't always be bad. Eventually they're going to have to go back to the middle. So whatever your struggle is, that's what you just stick to it because it's going to be worth it when you pass through that. And now that's experience that you can tell other people about. You know, it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make your family stronger. And, you know, you're still here. And that's the biggest thing. And I'm glad that you guys are all still here. For everybody that's listening and everybody that's struggling, I'm glad that you guys are here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So let's wrap up this way. How can people find you? How do people get in touch with you? And how can people help you?
All right. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Drop Gunner. We just moved to Facebook as well. So you can find us on Facebook as Drop Gunner. DM me, and if you need something personal, you want to meet up in person, just tell me and we'll make it happen. I'm located in the Oceanside area of California. We can do it that way. And then the link is in my page. It's on my bio and everything like that. You know, you buying apparel, that allows you to show people that you are part of the team, that, you know, when you're walking through town, through the cities, all over the country, people see that logo, they know that they're not alone and that they can reach out to you. So you might be saving a life just by wearing that apparel. And eventually that when we get big enough, we'll be able to donate the money, and we're trying to build something and do something back for the veterans. I raise money. I'll donate it to 22 Kill. I take a little bit of money from everything that I get, and it's not really about the profits. Like I said, it's about doing something else. So we try to build gym memberships and buy gym memberships, keep people going, get them personal trainers so that they don't have idle hands, that, you know, they keep going and they push on forward their life. So I just really appreciate you guys doing anything. You sharing the page, you following people, letting people know that they're never alone. That's what matters the most. That's the biggest thing you guys can do to help. Just reach out to somebody, lend a hand. You know, just be there. Overall, just be there.
That's right. Well, you heard it here. That is Drop Gunner on Instagram. You can follow the link in his bio to go support him with some apparel. They get gym memberships to vets. They do an assortment of different things to help us stay not just occupied, but productive, help us win each and every day. We summarize what you just said in a hashtag called Get Some Wins. Earn your confidence by going out and setting some iterative steps to become better. And don't be beta about the process. So with that, you got anything else that you want to wrap before we get?
Fear is just another excuse. So just keep pushing forward with your day, and you're going to be successful on your own.
That's awesome. We appreciate y'all. This is Knucklehead Podcast with our guest, Drop Gunner, signing off. Remember, don't be beta about the process. Go out and get yourself some wins and make it a great day. This episode is going to be posting next Tuesday to your favorite podcast listening app, and we will catch you soon.